So one of the last things you need to do is obviously get this off of CapCut and export it. It's called exporting it, getting it off of here and saved so you can upload it to wherever it is you want to upload it to. It's very, very simple. When you've got everything on your timeline here, you've got what you want. Go up to the top right here and click export. Now you're going to get a quick warning because in that last lecture we added smile lines, dark circles, warm honey with the skin tone, and if there was anything else like effects or anything that you're using, it's going to let you know, hey, these are pro features only and you haven't upgraded to pro. You could click join pro and I could obviously pay if I wanted to make sure I use these. I can go back to edit and we can remove those. Quite simply, I'm on one of the shots here. Let's just undo that, and now if I click on any of the others, it's not on there also. So now let's go back to export. Let's see what options it gives us. Here is our export window. So it's given us our duration, 45 seconds, and the size estimated. This is where you're going to title it. So if I want to title this, for example, I don't know, CapCut edit test, whatever it is you're calling it, you're going to choose where to save it to, a drive, a desktop, wherever it is. Export your video. So you're going to choose, I want it 1080, perhaps you want it 4K, whatever it is that you want and what you film to. I've only filmed this in 1080p, so I'm going to export it as that. I would click your bitrate and keep it as recommended. You can do higher or even customize if you know exactly what your bitrate should be, but I also always just do recommended. Codec, I don't ever change this. You can do it if you want to. This is the most common compression method. You don't need to go into huge detail here, but you can either choose one of these two. ProRes if you want to make it really high quality, but for most of you, what you're doing, this won't matter. Format is going to be a .mov or .mp4. Again, completely up to you. I always keep it on .mov, and your frame rate, I filmed this at 30 frames a second. It is 30 frames a second. If I wanted to just here do my export my audio as my format MP3, it can also spit it out as an MP3. Maybe I wanted to make this into a podcast also, so I just need it as an audio file. Very handy to do. And then that's it. Also, I mentioned this before, this is a copyright check, so it can check if there's any sounds before you're posting, but it's for TikTok, commercial for TikTok. It may come up with some copyright things that are not going to be okay for stuff like YouTube, but because this is a TikTok product, it doesn't matter so much. But I've mentioned about using copyright free audio, etc., and where to get those from, so you should be fine. So let's say I'm going to save it to here. This is what it's called, everything. Click export, and it's super fast, obviously depending on the speed of your machine processing, etc., but it just exports it and then it's going to spit it out where you saved it. I love editing. Okay, it's just finished. Oh, this is noisy. It brings up this. Let's just cancel. You can instantly put it here from YouTube, TikTok, etc. Let me just turn it down. If you wanted to, if you've already signed in, you can do that and upload straight to one of your accounts if you wanted to, and also set privacy, all the other things. So don't need to do any of that. Let's click cancel here. So let's go to where I saved it. So here is where I put this to, CapCut edit test. Here it is. I can just click spacebar and I can see I love. This is the final edit that I spat out right here. This is it, and that was everything. That was exporting your video. Super simple. So in the next lecture, I have a task to set you, but by all means, of course, you can edit these together, use this footage from here, but really use your own footage is the only best way to learn. Edit these together, host them on YouTube, Facebook, whatever you want, and then send us the link if you want other people to check these out, want us to check them out, or anyone else. Put it in a message on here or on a comment on the course, and we'll check these out, obviously, and let us know how you're getting on. I love to see people's edits. You're obviously going to be, I've gone through all the tools here, and there are some crazy text that I would never use on my own edits. That color's a bit funky there, so this would not be my final edit, but it's showing you all the tools that you could possibly want. Obviously now these are, I've just noticed my text needs to go above my B-roll. So there'll be lots of little things that you need to play with and get these exactly how you want them. So please let us know how you're getting on. That was exporting, super simple and easy. Go ahead onto the task, and then I really want to see what it is that you're editing. Okay, so that was it. I'll see you guys on the next lecture.